Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Step Out, Step In podcast, live on YouTube and Facebook. And I want to um, welcome you once again to this inspiring podcast. We're here to inspire you to step out of limitations and step into purpose. And again, I am your host, David Joe, and today's episode 118 is one that I believe that we all need. Whether you're navigating a tense workplace, relationship, dealing with a confrontational relative, or simply trying to respond in love when someone rubs you the wrong way. And tonight's episode is dealing how to deal with difficult people. I want you to do me a favor, a big favor, if you can share the link with at least one person. Just share the link with one person. Let that one person tell another person that we are live on YouTube and Facebook. And I'll be glad we are. We remember we are all in this together. As you share, let me also share mine. And let's do this real quick as we do it. Let's see here. Okay, so let me click out of this. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So thank you again for tuning in to episode 118 of my Step Out, Step In podcast. Watch this space.
Every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, join me as we dive headfirst into thrilling stories of personal growth, daring adventures, and transformative experiences. Get ready to be motivated, inspired, and empowered to live your life to the fullest. So mark your calendar, set your alarm, and get ready to step out, step in with me every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out on the adventure of a lifetime. Subscribe now and let's step into the unknown together. This is Step Out, Step In. The journey begins here. Step Out, Step In podcast, live on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe today.
And again, thank you for tuning in to episode 118 of my Step Out, Step In podcast live on YouTube and Facebook on this Monday, the 25th of August in the year of our Lord 2022. Let me start by asking you, and let's be honest, and we've all met difficult people, and sometimes you and I can be one. It's very easy to point fingers at others and not point it towards us, but sometimes we can also be one of them. And the ones, difficult people are the ones who they are the ones who drain your energy, they test your patience, and make you silently pray for grace, for that extra grace. Sometimes they can be co-workers, sometimes they can be family members, and sometimes it is the one neighbor who seems to think your driveway is the parking lot. So today we want to step out and step in, and we're going to unpack how to deal with difficult people without losing your peace, your patience, your joy, and your witness. And because difficult people are unavoidable, but being unprepared is optional. So let's get ready and let's dive into this. All right, again, thank you for tuning into episode 118 of my Step Out, Step In podcast. And the topic for discussion is how to deal with difficult people. And so let's dive into this. So as we talk about who these difficult people are, and more importantly, how to deal with them, um, we want to look at a few, as a person of faith, I'll throw in a few biblical scriptures in there, you know. So let's get into this. And number one, who is a difficult person, or who are difficult people? And in my definition, I said a difficult person is someone whose behavior, attitude, or communication style causes tension, conflict, or frustration in your life or somebody else's life or one's life. Let me say that again. A difficult person is someone whose behavior, whose attitude, or communication style causes tension, conflict, or frustration in your life. This doesn't mean that they are bad people sometimes. No. They are hurting, they are insecure, or unaware of how they come across. But their behavior style still impacts others. It still impacts you. And ignoring it won't make it disappear. In fact, it often makes it worse if you ignore it. And as I said, as a person of faith, the book of Proverbs tells us that a gentle answer turns away wrath, it turns away that anger, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Think about it. So today isn't about labeling people as hopeless, it's about understanding them, not only understanding them, but learning how to respond in ways that protect your peace and maintain respect. So as we journey through this, we want to take a look at um, a few types of difficult people. A few types of difficult people. Okay. Number one is the complainer. These are people who always sees the glass half empty. They highlight problems without offering solutions, and they can drain your energy if you're not careful. So the question again is, how do you deal with such people? How do you deal with them? You listen respectively, you acknowledge their concerns, then shift the conversation toward a solution. The book of Philippians tells us that do everything without complaining or arguing. That is what the scriptures encourages us to do everything without complaining or arguing. So, in in this context, try to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Being a thermostat sets the desired temperature and actively works to maintain or change the environment to match that setting. A thermometer or simply measures and reflects the temperature around it, passively observing changes without influencing them. So be the thermostat who sets the desired temperature and actively works to maintain or change the environment. In other words, you have to set the tone rather than absorbing them. So we have the complainers. Number two is the know it all. I don't know if you know anybody like that. Sometimes they even know more than God. They know it all. And these people dominate conversations with their opinions. They always think that they are always right. Now, no matter what you say, their opinions are always right. You have to accept it. If you don't, you know what it entails. They these people dismisses or interrupt others in a conversation. They'll just step in, break through. They'll just dismiss whatever you're saying, and they'll interrupt. But how do you deal with people like this? You avoid direct confrontation over every detail. You try to avoid confrontation. As I said earlier, be the thermostat. Be that thermostat. Acknowledge their input and respectfully add your perspective. I know they are not always going to agree, but if you do it in a very respectful way, they will, um, they will adjust. Proverbs tells us that fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. I didn't say this. This is in the scriptures. In fact, it's in Proverbs 18 and verse 2. Say, fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. So you respond with humility, ladies and gentlemen, but don't let their voice um, be drawn out of truth. And that is how you deal with the know it alls. Number three is the aggressors. The aggressors are confrontational people. They are loud or intimidated. They use force to make their point or to send their message across. And how do you deal with such people? Always stay calm, speak clearly, and set boundaries. You don't have to match their volume or aggression. In fact, the book of Proverbs again tells us that fools give full vent of their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. Be the wise one when you encounter people like this. So we have the aggressors, and we have the number four, the passive aggressive. Now, these people appear agreeably but resist subtly. They resist. They use sarcasm, silent treatment, or indirect sabotage. And how do you deal with such people? Address issues. You have to address issues directly and kindly. Clarify expectations and confirm agreements. You know, the book of Matthew teaches us to go to a person privately to resolve matters. And that is what you do with such people. And number five is the victim. Those that play uh, the victim mentality. Now, they are always wrong, never responsible. Um, the, 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 their, their lives is in a self-pity. You know, they play that victim. They see themselves to be the victim in every situation. Um, Whenever it goes wrong, they, they play the victim. And how do you deal with such people? You show empathy. You show empathy, but avoid enabling. Sometimes as human as we are, we enable them. We want to acknowledge um, whatever they are going through, but show empathy, but avoid enabling. Encourage them towards that personal responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the book of Galatians tells us that for each one should carry their own load. You have to be responsible for your own decisions, the things you go through and all that. You don't always have to blame others for what you're going through. To that is how you deal with such people. So how do you deal with difficult people amicably? How do you deal with difficult people amicably? We want to look at a few ways by which you and I can deal with such people when we encounter them, or how others can deal with us when we happen to be the difficult one. And we got to understand it, ladies and gentlemen. Number one is guard your heart. You have to guard your heart. Number one is guard your heart. In fact, in the book of Proverbs, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Your heart is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Protect your inner peace by choosing your emotional responses. Number one is guard your heart. Number two is set healthy boundaries. Set healthy boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. They are property lines for your time, your energy, and values. They are not walls. You're not building walls. Jesus, if you study the scriptures, I believe that Jesus set boundaries. And when he had to withdraw from the crowd to go pray in Luke chapter 5, it was a boundary he had to set. So you have to set healthy boundaries, ladies and gentlemen. But setting boundaries is not building walls, no. But you need to set those healthy boundaries. Number three is choose your battles. Not every comment needs a response. Sometimes just overlook it and walk away. Just blink and walk away. Somebody once said that if you look at a cat and a dog, there are certain things a dog will see and will back and make noise and back with all its energy. A cat will see it, just blink and turn away and walk away. The book of Proverbs tells us in Proverbs 26 that do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him. Ouch. You don't have to answer a fool. There's a saying that if you slap a pig, your hands get dirty too. So you have to choose your battles. You don't have to respond to every comment. You don't have to respond to answer every question. Number one, you're not in a court of law. So choose your battles. Number four, practice active listening. Practice active listening. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Now, we are very quick in labeling people, but we don't take our time to understand the people we label. Sometimes they just want to be heard. Just give them that listening ear, just having that active listening skill and just listening to them is more than enough. Sometimes they just want to be heard without you making a comment to you, without you saying anything. In James 1, it says that be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Listening can disarm defensiveness. Just being an active listener, it can disarm defensiveness. And the last but not the least, pray. Pray for them and pray for yourself. One thing that I know and I can confidently say is prayer softens your heart and it gives you God's perspective. Jesus said something in Matthew chapter 5. He says that love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. How do you love somebody who has boldly declared that I hate you? But he says love your enemies. He only then end there. He says pray for those who persecute you. Just imagine, pray for somebody who has tarnished your image, has assassinated your character and all that. Yes, that is what the scripture says, and it works. And we have to be able to do that. So, as we've gone through these 5, I want you to look at it and see where you also fall. If you fall within these 5 listings right here. All right, so difficult people will always be part of your life and my life. And as I said earlier, sometimes we end up being the difficult one, but we don't want to talk about it. You can also be the difficult one. But your ability, ladies and gentlemen, to respond with grace, wisdom, and patience can transform both the situation and the relationship. Remember, your peace is your responsibility, and you can't control others, but you can control your response. You cannot control how you want people to treat you or what you want them to say to you. But you can always control your attitude towards what they say or what they do to you. When you step out of frustrations and step into understanding, you are not just managing conflict, you are modeling the Christ-like love. At the end of the day, it is about that Christ-like love. All right, so today, if this episode has challenged you, episode 118 has challenged you, or has given you some practical ways to handle a difficult person, I want you to share with a friend, a loved one who might need this encouragement. And I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear your story, how you have dealt with difficult people in your life in the past. If you've ever done it, please share your story with us. You can share it, send a message, or contact me on social media and share your message with us. And again, I'm so excited you are here with me tonight or today or whenever you watch the replay. Um, you know, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to comment. Nice comments, as I always say. And don't forget to click on that notification bell when you subscribe so that anytime something is posted, you will be notified. Again, thank you for tuning in into episode 118 of my Step Out, Step In podcast, live or on YouTube, Facebook, and again, thank you so much for being here or for watching the replay as well. Until next time, remember, step out of reaction and step into intentional response. Your peace is worth protecting. This has been your host, David Joe. Have a fruitful, amazing, wonderful, productive week. And until we meet again, same time, I want you to know that I love you. There's nothing you can do. Have a blessed week. Goodbye.
Step out, step into the world unknown.